What's going on, good people? I've had the LG G7 for a while now. I just haven't put out a video because I really wanted to use this phone and focus on the positives of it versus the negatives, and also draw your attention to some of the things that you may not have known based on other reviews. So that being said, I'm gonna give you 7 ways LG actually nailed the G7. But before we do that, we have to roll the sponsor. W-A-R-E. Silverware, Tupperware, hardware, colorware. Be unique, express yourself, let colorware show you how. If you don't do it for your phone, do it for yourself. Number 1. The display on the G7 is gorgeous, and it's far better than the one found on the V30 and the Pixel 2 XL. In case you didn't know, those two phones actually shared the same exact display technology and panel, which was POLED, that just didn't quite live up to the hype. Luckily, LG went back to their roots, and the G7 features an LCD IPS panel, but with a small or slight twist. So the display on the G7 is actually a M+ LCD panel, which basically just means that it includes a 4th pixel for whites. If you guys need some education on what exactly that means and the benefits, slap that thumbs up button. If this video can get 1 million, I'm just kidding, guys. I hate when people do that in their videos. If you guys want to see a follow-up video, like an educational video on what all of that means, just let me know. In any case, if you were to just take a look at the G7's display, you might assume that it's OLED based off the incredible vibrant colors, which have that surreal pop you would get from Galaxy devices. Even the blacks get really inky, which is another OLED characteristic. Another neat little trick this panel has up its wires is the fact that it can get up to 1000 nits for easy visibility no matter the lighting conditions. On the opposite side of that, the display is able to be turned way down to conserve power, but yet still be bright enough to read in certain situations. So yeah, major kudos to LG for the G7 display. Nicely done. Number 2. If you've ever used a V-series phone from LG, then you know just how awesome that 32-bit quad DAC really is. It's capable of pushing some really powerful headphones, and you can enjoy some hi-fi audio straight from your phone. Unfortunately, if you ever wanted to get this feature, you had to buy a V-series phone up until now. LG finally brought the same DAC technology to the G7. Of course, in order to use it, you'll need a pair of cabled headphones, which LG kindly includes in the box depending on your region. Even though Bluetooth headphones might seem more convenient at times, once you use this DAC, you actually might change your mind. Trust me. Number 3. To go along with the DAC, LG actually introduced a new speaker design with the G7. But before you get too excited, it's still a single downfiring speaker, but it's the best downfiring speaker you probably have ever heard up until this point. LG calls it the Boombox speaker, and I can see why. It features 40% larger drivers versus the LG G6, more powerful amplifiers, and a new speaker enclosure that is 17 times larger than the G6. Long story short, the G7 features a hollow body design, and the new speaker system uses the entire body as a resonance chamber in order to increase bass and overall loudness. If you throw in the fact that they finally tuned the circuitry to reduce distortion at high audio levels, you're gonna get an amazing sound experience as long as you don't cover up the bottom speaker. And 4. Where old Sammy has a dedicated button for Bixby, LG decided to make one for the Google Assistant, which in my personal opinion is a far better choice than Bixby. I do wish it allowed for customizations out of the box, such as the ability to remap it for a camera shortcut and maybe even a shutter trigger, but Google Assistant is still the best choice if you're going to roll with a dedicated assistant button. Number 5. So before the LG G7, the power button was actually embedded into the fingerprint scanner on the back side, and this resulted in a very awkward and weird experience if I'm just being honest. LG fixed this on the G7 and moved the power button to the right side and made the fingerprint scanner fixed, which despite the software lag that's present, feels much better than previous iterations. Number 6. Dual cameras on the G series isn't really anything new, but there have been some great improvements with the G7. For starters, the dual rear cameras have been bumped up to 16 megapixels with apertures of f1.6 on the standard camera and f1.9 on the wide angle. Also, the wide angle has seen a slight bump in its overall wideness, being able to cover 107 degrees now. The wide angle camera lens on LG's G and V series have always won me over since they're just so much more practical, and having a little more field of view just makes for an even better experience. Also, LG has thrown in portrait mode on the G7 and it actually works pretty well. It's important to note that LG is the only phone manufacturer using a secondary wide-angle camera to assist with portrait mode. Unfortunately, the camera is far from perfect, which I'll cover in a separate video, but it's nice to see the updates and upgrades to the LG G7 camera. And finally, number 7. Dat vibrator. No, seriously, the haptic engine on the G7 is really good and it's easily one of the best out there. Well guys, that was 7 ways LG nailed the G7, but I want to know, what do you think of the G7? Have you actually used it? Have you got your eyes on it? Or are you hoping to upgrade to it? I want to know down in the comment section. Also, what do you think LG should do for the V40? That's the phone that I'm more interested in, and I think that is going to be the flagship of the year from LG because their V lineup always does much better than their G series, just in my personal opinion. It's the most underrated lineup out. So that being said, what do you guys want to see in the V40? And are you guys gonna pick up the G7? Are you interested in that phone? Is it dead on arrival? I wanna know. Down in the comment section, sound off, let's start the discussion. And yeah, if you're new here, stick around by subscribing. If you enjoyed this video, drop it a thumbs up. Any questions, leave them down below or hit me up on social as I do respond faster over there. And yeah, make sure you turn on those notifications, by the way, because YouTube probably isn't gonna push this video out anyways. So help a brother out, turn on that bell icon, maybe, I don't know, maybe you'll see the video. In any case, I'll talk to you guys in the next one.